Minnesota State House of Representatives, District 31. He's a small business owner, healthcare administrator, and a chiropractic physician. He's married to Denise and has 3 children. Randy's family moved to Lake County when he was 2 years old. Growing up, he attended the Eustis schools and Lake Sumter Community College. He then moved to Davenport, Iowa, where he studied at St. Ambrose College and the Palmer College of Chiropractic. After graduation, he returned home to practice with his father, Dr. Jim Glisson. After 4 years in private practice, Randy was appointed by Governor Bob Martinez to serve on the Chiropractic Board of Medicine, serving as board chair. In 1993, Randy and his dad co-founded Lake Healthcare Center, a multi-specialty clinic with family medicine, podiatry, and chiropractic departments, currently with 5 physicians and 14 support staff, now celebrating 50 years of service to our community. He served on the Florida Hospital Waterman Foundation as board chair, helping raise money for the private sector to bring open heart care to our local hospital. Randy continues to give back to our community through foundations and civic organizations. He believes the private sector is much better suited to provide for those in need rather than relying on government handouts. He is a proud deacon at Bay Street Baptist Church. He was recently asked to serve on the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Board of Directors, which he was a member of in high school. And with no further ado, let's welcome Dr. Jacob Glisson. Thank you. Thank you, Walter, and thank you for the invite tonight, and thank to all of you for being here tonight. I mean, I know there's a lot going on every night of the week with our families, with our jobs, and church activities and civic activities. But at the end of the day, getting out and meeting like this is important. And I believe that our founding fathers would expect nothing different for us to be out tonight and to be talking about some of the difficulties that we're up against. And we have inalienable rights that we need to continue to protect and preserve. And being out here tonight is a part of doing that. I've been speaking now a few times, and each time I've started my speech, I've always started with if I seem a little flustered or late tonight, it's because I've been dealing with the red tape of Obamacare all day long. And unfortunately, I'm here to report to you tonight that still is going on and is in full force. I guess if you haven't heard about Obamacare, you've either been living on a island, desolate island somewhere, or possibly underneath a rock, and you just crawled out from underneath it. But Obamacare in March of 2010 began to affect our lives, and since Obamacare was passed, I mean, we as Americans have fought back and pushed back against it. We're now tonight, we're pushing back in Congress and continuing the fight to fund Obamacare, and we have courageous leaders on the House and Senate floor that are doing that as we speak. We've also tried to stop Obamacare through the Supreme Court, declaring it was unconstitutional, which it is. And we've also now been pushed back as a state. And as a state, we've rejected the Medicaid expansion. And we continue to push back against the Obamacare's long-reaching federal arm into our lives and the healthcare system. So I say tonight, we don't give up the fight, and we continue to fight onward. It's becoming more apparent to me every day that the Obama administration and the Democrats are just trying to forever change the way healthcare is practiced in this nation. They're trying to change the way it's delivered to our most valuable component, our patients, and it's also being tried to change through payment. you know, at the same time, you know, I've heard it said that we have a healthcare problem in America. People say, well, you know, we have a healthcare problem in America. Well, I'm here to report to you, we have no healthcare problem in America. I believe we have some of the best healthcare available in the world. If something happened to any one of us tonight, I could think of no better place to be in this world than in the United States of America, in a doctor's office or in a hospital. So to those that say we have a healthcare problem in America, I say, phooey. What we have is we have a healthcare, you know, who's going to pay for it, and how are we going to pay for a problem? That's the only problem we have. And you know, the other interesting thing is the same people that passed this legislation that wanted to affect our lives on a daily basis also are passing on being in it themselves. So they want us to sit back and do nothing while they sit on the sideline, and we're gonna be the ones that are affected. So in the state of Florida right now, we're pushing approximately 20 million people, 20 million Floridians. And of that, about 3.8 million, maybe a little bit over that now, are uninsured. So basically a quarter of our population in the state of Florida is uninsured. Now, of those insured Floridians, about half of the insured Floridians get insurance through their job or their workplace. I think the statistics show another third of the insured portion of Floridians have their health care through some type of government agency like Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE that serves our veterans. And there's a small percentage of people that have individual health plans outside of the workplace, but the remaining part of Floridians, about a quarter, have no insurance. So in our state, in our nation, traditionally, uninsured people that have medical problems that cannot be taken care of in a doctor's office usually end up in the emergency room. Now, what happens is when our uninsured, when it ends up in the emergency room, that can turn into a more long, intensive stay. It can turn into more long, intensive testing, and you know, by the time you're taken care of and you're released, you've ran up a pretty large bill. So, in herein, I believe, lies a lot of our problem. And so, what happens then is, if you leave the hospital and you're not able to pay for that, then it's either turned over to, first of all, the hospital is going to do everything they can to get you to pay, believe me that. But second of all, then it would be turned over to indigent care, which indigent care is covered by us, the taxpayers, or it would be turned over to Medicaid, which is covered by us, the taxpayers. So that, I believe, is partly responsible, in my opinion, for some of the huge debt that we have in this nation. And I think that a part of right-sizing this healthcare problem will help control our national debt. You know, I believe as a state, you know, we have rights as Floridians to continue to push back Obamacare. I think that we have rights as citizens to tackle this problem head on, and I don't think that we need to that the answer is not for us to sit back and allow a large centralized government to tell us from a large top-down approach how we need to conduct health care in Florida. You know, I think that the state, first of all, we need to continue, as a state, we need to continue to work on growing our economy. I feel that if we can continue to grow our economy and we can continue to provide jobs to Floridians, that we can also provide good insurance to Floridians. I mean, as a small business owner myself, there's no joy that I get more in this world than helping provide my employees for a well-deserved benefits. And I hope that a lot of other job creators in this country, in our state, would also feel equally that as well. So, I think part of the solution to this problem is continuing to grow our economy and continuing to grow jobs that provide health insurance. I think another thing that has to be changed is creating a sense of personal responsibility. I'm a compassionate person, and I'm all for helping people. I'm all for, in the private sector, reaching out and helping those who need a hand up, who need an opportunity to get back on their feet. But at the same time, we need to lift up, but we don't need to continue to provide for those that are not willing to help and provide for themselves. As a doctor, I am really fearful of Obamacare and it trying to really change the way healthcare is run in our country. And what I'm seeing now is a lot of Obamacare regulations that are continuing to be passed down to physicians. Some of these Obama regulations you may begin to have already seen in your doctor's office. And when you go to see your doctor now, you may see that your doctor spends a lot of time in that computer. Some of the Obama regulations are requiring every doctor begin to have an electronic health record. And the idea is that health records can be essentially reviewed by our government then at any time they may well feel they need to. Another thing that's being done is e-prescriptions. If you go to your doctor now, instead of getting your prescription on a pad, you may be getting your prescription sent over electronically. There's also been a lot of problems with the e-prescribing. Just like, as I understand, some of the health state insurance exchanges and the connectivity that's going on between multiple large agencies the technology has not been fully implemented. We're also seeing on the physician side that some of this technology of when you send an e-script, there's another program that's interpreting maybe if there's a generic cheaper product, or there's just a lot of regulation that is behind it. And when you push something that hard, that fast, it's hard to have the technology to keep up with it. Another thing you may be seeing going on in your doctor's office is all this heavy data collection. And that's another Obama regulation where they are requiring doctors to report ethnic race. They're requiring us to report weight, height, blood pressure, smoking, illnesses, diseases that people may have had, and medications that you are taking or have ever taken. Now, right now, what's happened is that this information is being pushed up to a data collection area. And I think I heard in the news maybe a day or so ago that about 1,200 patients' information was somehow released. And when you have this big information highway, with connections that aren't fully integrated, and you're pushing all this data up to really who knows where and who really is viewing it. So it is a scary situation when it comes to privacy issues. As I talk to patients that are very much concerned about where healthcare is going in this nation, but equally as well, I've talked to physicians who are concerned about the path and where healthcare is heading in this direction. Quite frankly, some of my doctor friends are more happy that they're closer to retirement than starting out, and others are because of they see the increased regulation, technology, and money that it's going to take to be a small physician and run an office. A lot of them are also now going into these larger hospital group practices and larger groups. And that to me is also something that I just think as if healthcare is going to move toward that, I think some of the days of having your independent practitioner, are going to be behind us. So that's another fear I have. And the other thing that is I think it's important as well. Doctors' offices are like small economic engines all across this nation. You take a small doctor's office that has one physician, that has 3 or 4 employees, a registered nurse. He's tried to provide health insurance. He's tried to provide benefits. He buys local supplies from janitorial services. Doctors' offices are small economic engines. And with this Obamacare, with some of the expenses that are going to be required, you're going to see small independent physicians, I believe, falling by the wayside. In closing, as a small business person, as a healthcare administrator, and as a physician, I see the effects of Obamacare, and I am fearful again that if we don't stop this, if we don't control this, that it is going to forever change healthcare in America. And as Americans, we need to continue to push back, and we need to do it for the health of our nation and for the health of our grandchildren. So, with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to take a few. Yes, Andy.
I have a question for you. Let's say you become an elected representative of District 31, why are you running for this position? I mean, you've spoken extensively about Obamacare, but within that geography, we have many other issues. And I was wondering, what do you bring as an elected representative to Tallahassee for those other issues?
Okay, that's a great question. And tonight, as a physician, I was speaking on Obamacare. But as an elected official, what do I bring to the table? As a small business owner, every day that when I see difficult times, and let's say I get a line of credit because I've had some problems in business that I've had to adjust to. And I figure out a plan of plan of action of how I'm going to downsize a little bit or shift this or shift that, and to get myself back on a right track to where I can pay my line of credit down and I can move on. And when I figure out the tough time, then I can hire another employee. I can do something different here or there. But then, if I hit a tough time again, and I have to maybe scale back, maybe I have to get another line of credit. But you know what? I just don't keep overextending, and overextending. That's what I see our government doing, our federal government doing. They have one line of credit, behind one line of credit, behind one line of credit, and so on and so forth. You cannot exist that way without eventually imploding. As a small business owner, I have figured that out, that I have to be fiscally responsible, and at the end of the day, when the times are tough in business, I think it makes you a better person, a wiser person, and I hope that that is part of my experience that I would take to Tallahassee. On a side note, my dad also was in the State House and Senate between the ages of when I was 8 and 18 years old. So as a young man, I saw my dad in a servant role, and that has been embedded deep inside me. Yes?
Are there any particular state issues right now that you are passionate about, or that you say, I really want to go up there and do this or do that?
I would say that states' rights, I'd say, is a big issue. That as Floridians, what works in California or New York or Georgia doesn't necessarily work here. So anytime that you can protect the 10th Amendment, I think is a home run. I know Vance has been real involved in a lot of the Common Core, and I followed the issues that he's presented with that. And again, I think that's a top-down approach to trying to tell us as a state and as a local community how we need to educate our youth, and I don't think that a large central federal government has any business in doing that. So, but in a nutshell, I mean, this healthcare issue is going to be a big issue, and I think that figuring it out, and as we go through this campaign, you're going to hear, different sides of the issue, and you're going to hear it from other different professions, and I just think at the end of the day that a business owner and a physician, someone that deals with patients every day, I think is going to be in a better opportunity to be able to help make some of the difficult decisions that are going to need to be made. Yes, Ms. Boehner.
Randy, I know that your expertise in the medical field is going to be valuable in Tallahassee, because since we turned down that government money to expand Medicaid, we have got a big gap between Medicaid and the people that will be subsidized. And I don't know if you've had a chance to figure out when you've looked into that, how many, I read it somewhere, but I couldn't put my finger on it, how many people that was going to apply to now. But we're going to have a problem there with those people. I don't know if we're just going to continue to treat them the way we have in the past in the emergency room. We've tried to develop some clinics here in Lake County, but I think we have one. I think the Catholic Church is the only one, and they just requested very little money from our county tax. But of course, you can go up there. We've got catastrophic insurance with homeowners policies, because that's getting to be so expensive, and our automobiles are getting to be so expensive. There's just a lot of issues that you can get involved in. We've also got that extra payment, what do you call it, Sam, that we have to add, the catastrophic charges that they add to all of our insurance policies. So you can get into this alimony thing. It's going to be a big issue now. The issues just keep going on and on, but it's good to have someone that has some expertise in some area when you're elected.
Well, thank you. And you brought up an interesting point about trying to divert some patients from the emergency room in the form of creating health clinics that would help reduce costs so that we as taxpayers don't end up getting a full, hospital visit charge. So I know this, that the rejection of Medicaid expansion was certainly the right thing to do. I think that to have given us a quick fix solution and given us the money, I think it would have ended up costing us millions and millions and more on the back end. And so, yeah, I think that we can figure it out. And there was an analogy that there was a pier that was destroyed by a hurricane, I think on the Gulf Coast, and federal government came in and said, we're going to build you a new pier, and it's going to be a big, beautiful cement pier, and then when they got done and they left out of there, they had built this humongous cement pier that the boats couldn't even pull up to for people to get up onto the pier, and so at the end of the day I was thinking, would it have been better maybe for them just to say, no thanks, we'll build our own pier, and build that nice wooden pier where all the boats could kind of pull back up to again. And so and I say that analogy in the same analogy of the Medicaid expansion. I think what works for Florida, what may work in another state is not going to work in Florida.
Well, how are you going to communicate that with other legislators? Assuming you got elected to office, I mean, there's this. You see it with the roundabout down here. It's federal money. It's $1 million, so we'll go ahead and take the federal money and do it. You see it with Common Core because they went to Race to the Top, and part of the strings attached to that was that they adopt Common Core as the curriculum guide. So you've got this carrot that's out there, and it's one of these possum traps that you grab the carrot, and all of a sudden you're stuck with all of these things that bind you as a condition of getting the money, to the point where if you want to withdraw, you're stuck. You really can't get out of it. I use the term tar baby, but I don't know if that's politically correct anymore. But that's a tar baby type of circumstance. So how are you not only going to resist that yourself, but also going to persuade other legislators to be cognizant of that trap and to avoid it?
Well, I think some of this is, you would think at some point people would begin to learn from past experience. And,
all evidence to the contrary.
Well, and then at the same time, I understand that, when you go to Tallahassee as a freshman legislator, that there's going to be a lot of outside pressures that will occur. And it's just going to take a new breed of legislator there, and it's going to take a new breed of being maybe to sit on the back row, or to have to go through what you're going to have to go through to say no, and say no to that. So the other mentality is, I understand, it's like, okay, Florida's being fiscally responsible. We're rejecting all this, all this money, and you have this other state out there that's just pulling it in. I think at some point federally we have to figure it out where everybody needs to, I think as being a fiscally responsible state, at some point you would hope that the centralized government would also expect other states to be fiscally responsible.
No.
So hopefully it catches on. Yes.
You're a small businessman, so you understand the impact of government regulations on business in general. AFP gave a presentation about 6 months ago about ranking the states as far as the number of regulations impact. Texas was number 1 with the less regulations on the scale 1 to 50, with less being 1. They were at the top. Dora was way down at 27. What I'm looking for in the state legislature is not how many new laws can be, because you only have 6 bills you can present in the session. I'm looking for someone that's going to repeal laws and make it better for business. Todd Howard recently made a presentation. He said the state level impacts the schools so much with regulations that it's hard for them to do their job. And he gave 2 examples. One was the beginning and ending of the school year, and also 25% of the time of teaching is devoted to testing. And I didn't realize that the state had that much influence on how much testing is done. But in other words, repeal those 2 areas, working on those, cutting through all that jungle, making it easier for people, school board and other businessmen, by cutting the regulations, they would be more profitable.
And yes, I would agree with you wholeheartedly that regulate. I mean, too many regulations do not promote job growth in a healthy economy. It restricts businesses and it causes it doesn't help grow jobs. That's for sure. So yeah, somebody said if you got elected, just I had one person say, well, if you got elected, just go up there and don't pass any new laws. So hopefully it's but I get it that we have too many laws on the book, because in the end it takes money also to administrate those laws, and that money is coming out of us, the taxpayer. So I don't like paying taxes. Yes, Vance.
Have you followed the North Lake County Hospital District issue and the bill that was passed about a year ago that put a lot of new reform procedures in place?
Yes, I have. Actually, when I was on the Florida Hospital Board Foundation, Maryland was working hard on that. Representative Larry Metz worked hard on that issue, and as far as a position that I have, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I'm for healthy hospitals. When anybody gets sick or hurt and needs special, needs emergency room care, I want them to be seen at the best hospital available. So, with saying that, I also think as taxpayers we deserve the right to vote on how we pay our taxes. So, how all that played out with on the, we're in 2016? We're going to be able to vote on that issue?
Will you commit to not making any changes if you are elected, make any changes to that law? Because this is a local law, and so you would be part of the 5 or 6 member local legislators delegation, and they're the ones that pass that. And if the composure changes, will you commit on the record to not supporting or actually opposing any effort by anybody to change that law?
Well, that is a law that is on the books and is making its way to fruition. And I said at the end of the day, I would do nothing to take away taxpayers' opportunity to be able to vote on where their tax dollars are spent.
That isn't the answer to the question, so it sounds like you're hedging.
No.
I mean, I'm serious. That law was put in place by a lot of people, including people in this group, and it was to protect the rights of the taxpayer and also require that in 2016 that there will be a vote. And
I would do nothing to change the law that is currently in effect.
Okay, and will you oppose any efforts to change that law?
I would do absolutely nothing to change the law that's in effect. you know, at the same time, I respect the hospital, but I value Representative Mt. And so, the answer to your question, I would not do anything to change the law that is in effect. Does that answer it?
I think so.
Yes.
You intimated that you are for, of course, of state sovereignty, which is very important. And have you heard of and you agree with the nullification process available to legislators to nullify unconstitutional laws and laws that the people don't want for their state, regardless of what the federal government says, like the APA law and laws for medical marijuana, different things like that? Do you agree that it is a state responsibility for that rather than the government? And that we have nullification procedures we can do to make our state, to absolve our state from having to follow those laws, being federal laws, because they're unconstitutional?
Yes, again.
Randy, can you
yeah.
repeat the question? We couldn't hear it all.
The question is, should we as Floridians be able to reject federal...
Nullify and not effective in our state. If federal laws are unconstitutional, or what the people don't want, do we have the right and the resources under the nullification procedures to reject those laws for our state? And actually, we can make laws that we could, like, for example, arrest federal agents that come into our state to try and enforce those laws. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree with that.
Thank you.
Well, I've got one that's tangentially related to that. The next step is Mark Levin has recently penned a book in which he is arguing for the constitution of an amendment convention under the auspices of the U.S. Constitution to convene and consider amendments to the Constitution in order to advance or reestablish state rights, among other propositions to be considered. That would take the action of the requisite number of members of the state legislature in order to call for such a convention. Would you be willing to consider doing that and support such a measure?
Yes.
I'll comment on that. Our current president does not recognize the Constitution. So what good is it going to do to put in more amendments that can be ignored by the federal government?
Okay.
That's where state sovereignty comes in, because he can say whatever he wants. You know, he says Obamacare is the law of the land, but I always thought it was the Constitution.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we have a Constitution, and we can do everything we can to protect our state's rights. And I look forward to being more a part of your meetings, and I mean, just being here tonight, it's been eye-opening, and it's been enjoyable. So thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and we'll hold the line, and we'll continue to hope the good guys in Washington win out on this Obamacare. Thank you.